Okay, well, I sent out a countdown today, 8 days till we've got the accessory pack '01, which is super exciting. And it's been a long time coming for some of you who've been waiting desperately to get the accessories, but they're finally coming and they are looking sick, if I might say. But yeah, so we've got the mint dates and also plan TBC around the reveal. But Jake, if you want to touch more on that.
Cool, cool. Yeah, so I'll get through the details for AP1 first, the first accessory pack, and then we'll move on to some more juicy stuff. So 15th of Feb is the date, mint date. There's gonna be it's kind of like a bullet point list here, gang. So it's like a two-wave reveal. So we'll have the mint open for a minimum of a week, but it's a holders only mint, so we're not really in a rush. We'll have the first reveal around the 22nd, hopefully, but we'll confirm these dates nearer the time. We'll keep the mint open for a little bit longer and we'll have the last reveal on the 1st of March. So we've got two waves there for you guys to reveal your accessories and see what you pull. So remember the Metashima Lightning Mint, the reveal day was absolutely electric. It was so much fun. I wish I could have gone on for longer. So we're trying to take pinches of that and reciprocate it with the Accessory One launch. Couple of extra details you may need. So to claim an accessory, you need to hold a Metashima Lightning. It's pretty obvious. Holders only mint. The accessory you receive will be randomized for this pack. So it's really important. The first pack kind of sets the tone and then it gives us a baseline to work with for all future packs. There's 8 DNA types, as we know. We've talked about the powers too. We're going to dive into those in this space today. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's all the finer details. If there's any additional questions the community have about AP1, chuck them in the general chat. I'll do my best to answer them as we work through the space.
Yeah, definitely. Any questions? We're going to put some time in at the end for a bit of a Q&A. So send them into Discord. Jake will either answer them in Discord or he'll ping me a message and we will get those answered. So moving on, but talking about the elephant in the room, which is AP1. Sai, if you want to go into a bit of detail, perhaps about why we're introducing accessory packs, accessory pack one in particular, and what does that mean for the future of Shima?
Okay, great. Thanks, Tess. Before I go into AP1, just a few shout outs and thank yous. Lots of OGs and familiar faces on the call. It's great to see everyone. Thanks for joining. Shima crew, House of Shima mods, really appreciate it. The team at Dimension have been working hard behind the scenes on AP1 and the updates. So we've got kind of an action-packed update for you today. Just I suppose just to recap in terms of our thinking around Shima originally and what we were trying to achieve and the roadmap we're on and what the ultimate kind of vision is. When we started looking at the story world and the concept for Metashima and the idea of what virtual companions and AI companions in the metaverse might ultimately become, we really like the idea of a kind of robotic companion that had character, that could be brought to life in different ways. So you're familiar with the way in which the Shimas have been designed with the screens, which gives us the ability to express emotions or communicate using the Metashima in different ways, and ultimately that will plug into AI, which will help bring that to life. But it wasn't just about the character. It wasn't just about how we might tailor the personalization and the character of the Shima. It's also about how you might add some bling to the Shima, how you might add accessories and other utilities that can provide either uses in the metaverse or fun opportunities within kind of entertainment or gaming experiences, or indeed could slot into some of the story aspects of the story that we've been working on. So the first accessory drop, AP1 as it's called, is designed as a series of weapons. Each one correlates to a DNA type. So all of that information I think has kind of been released now, but it's very much the starting point for how we see kind of the Shimas being customized. So there will be future accessory drops. They'll have different utilities, and some of them might not just be physical drops. When you think about how the Shima is designed and the fact that it's also got this intelligence, then there'll be other types of updates which might be released as kind of an accessory update, although, you know, whether or not we call it that, we'll figure that out. So yeah, so AP1 is like the first introduction of how we can customize Shima to equip them for other fun use cases, and in this instance it's the first weapons drop. Yeah, Tess, have I missed anything on that?
No, I don't think you have, unless Yusha, do you want to add
Well,
anything?
I think, thank you, Tess. Sorry. I mean, what's been really good fun is coming up with the different powers that each of these Shima have, and I know there was some fun around guessing what the names are, but I guess it probably helps to give you a little bit more context as to what each one does. So Blizzard, as you can imagine, there is an ice component within that, and with your superpower there, you can control water, freeze things, and shoot ice crystals. Sonic, which is actually my favorite because I am dope, just as the Sonic allows you to do, is disorientate your rivals. It destroys things with a sonic boom. Force field, which is indestructible and can destroy anything in the path. Electro, which excitingly fires lightning bolts and electrifies anything near it. Spawn, which allows for self-duplication, and you're able to replicate and use that power to take on all your foes. Magnetize, as you can imagine, you can control and bring things near to you, but also shoot things out using magnetic force. And then we have two left, which is Beast and Lava. Beast is essentially beast mode. Go bonkers, increase your size and firepower. And then Lava, where you're able to throw fireballs and control the flow of lava against your opponents. Yeah, Sonic is definitely my favorite. Chaps and Tess, have you got one that's your favorite?
See, I sent a note to the team to make sure they knew their favorite, and I didn't actually plan to say my favorite, but I'm going to jump in front of Ed because I know his favorite is Spawn, and that was originally my favorite. Like, I just would love to have loads of little mini Shima flying around and also destroying you guys to pieces. I would love it.
Mishima, is that? Did you just
Mini
make that up?
me, a
You just
mini
made
me
that up.
Shima.
I like
Yeah.
that, Mishima. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that you knew that Spawn was my favorite. Actually, I don't know if we ever talked about. There's a bunch of them that I love, but as a games designer at heart as well, having kind of spent many years in game design, I kind of don't even think of these things as rockets or magnets. I kind of think of them as mechanisms for gameplay and fun. You know, when I look at magnetize, I see that as a thing that attracts things to the Shima. When I look at Sonic, I see that as a thing that pushes things away. You know, I'm thinking mechanics all the time. And when we were thinking about Spawn, I was thinking about them as for all of the fans here, fans of Mario Kart games, Spawn to me always kind of came across as the three bananas, you know, that you would get as a power up in Mario Kart, and you get your three bananas, and you would be able to choose to either drop one banana and then another banana and then another banana. You'd have that discrete control of where to drop those three elements. Now, we've added a little bit of functionality to that, so it's not just a banana that you can kind of your enemy would slip into. It's like a kind of a holographic representation of you. So ideally, it would distract your enemy away from you. But I love the idea that you could choose to either drop all three at the same time or one at a time. And I guess that is that little bit of extra layer of complexity and depth to the gameplay about Spawn that I kind of really like about it. That's my favorite.
See, now I didn't think of it like that, but yeah, I agree. That's exactly my thinking too.
You're
With
just
Spawn.
copying me all the time. You just copy me all the time.
I do indeed. Sai, Jake, what are your favorites?
Go on, Si, you jump in.
Well, I don't really have a favourite, if I'm honest. I mean,
Of
I
course
know
you
that's
do.
really dull, isn't it? And
Ah, boo.
I mean, I was hoping that Ed was going to go into tune there in the song when he started going one banana, two banana. But I think that,
This is what I have to work with, folks. You know
yeah.
what I mean? This is how seriously they take it, you know?
I mean, Ed's really summarised it really well, because we wanted to give enough differentiation between the powers. And remember, like, AP1 is the first drop, the first accessory that utilizes that DNA power, so it doesn't necessarily start and stop there. That's one thing to remember. But yeah, we've given a lot of thought to I suppose, the way in which we can use those powers for not just the accessories here and now, but what might come in the future. Yeah, so we'll see. But I don't have a particular favorite.
Oh, I feel bad for saying this. I've got two clear favorites. Mine's the A7 Beast. It's the best. We got to represent it on Nexus Shima, and I think it looks nuts. And then a very, very close second is
Is everyone gone?
the N8 Lava.
It's gone awfully quiet.
Now we're still here. I think you've been rugged as a
We're
speaker.
still here.
Good damn Twitter. But yeah, it's got
Poor
to
Yash.
be the N8 Lava.
Of course, you choose the like highest DNA types, Jake.
I think that
Classic.
was the first one I saw, and it looked absolutely nuts. I think it's definitely the way forward. But yeah, I'm praying I get one of those. I'll probably end up with a Blizzard, just like my Shima in the sneak peek, but it is what it is.
Yeah, true. Any of the accessories, I'm going to be super excited to equip. That is definitely for sure. There's one thing I forgot to mention. Sorry, at the beginning of this space is that we are gonna head into Discord after this and run a little event for all of the AP1 reveal giveaway. So the people who guessed correctly with the names, you guys are all going to be put into a little duck race and chosen as winners. So that's going to be very exciting. Jake and I will be doing that. And so, Ed, you mentioned Mario Kart, but what are some other sort of design influences that influenced towards the AP1? Can you share a little about that?
Yeah. There's when designing stuff like this, there's two things that you design. You design what they look like, but you also design what they do, right? So what they look like is hopefully design wise things that have been designed by the same people that have designed the Metashima to begin with. I mean, you'll all know how important the initial design of the Lightning Collection was to us. We wanted them to look like they were crafted by, an actual design process rather than just random pieces thrown together. It was really important to us, and I think we really kind of really smashed that. And it was important for us then to transpose that design methodology and ethos to any accessories that we do. So this is the first set of accessories, of course, not the last, but I think we've done that quite well. Part of that process was, I'm not sure if I spoke about it the last time I was speaking to you guys, but things like how round the corners are on things, how the materials get, how the different textures and materials get applied to them. Hopefully we've managed to create a set of accessories that look like they're part of the same universe as the Metashima. So that's the first thing. That, what do they look like? That's the first thing. Well, actually, part of the inspiration to what they look like were Nerf guns, right? We're all familiar with Nerf guns. There's so many really cool design Nerf guns, and to me, really, very very early on, Nerfs just popped straight into my brain. I'm like, shape wise, that's what they got to look like. I love how the size of the barrels and the hoppers that you put the Nerf bullets into, and all of that was fantastically inspirational to us as a team. And then what we wanted to do then is give that a Shima polish, which is all of the shaders, the chrome, the carbon fiber, all of that stuff that we kind of applied to those shapes. And I think it came out really well. Personally, I'm really happy with how they came out. So that's how they look. The next part of the design phase really is, what do they do? And any any of us that play video games all the time, which is me for sure. I mean, that's really where you draw your inspiration there. One of the big ones for me was I don't know if many of us are lucky enough to have a PS5 at the moment, but Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, the weapons in that game are so cool, and the way they're presented is so cool as well. So semi, like, not very traditional. So you'll have a weapon that is, on the face of it, something that just shoots ice, but it's more subtle than that. It's a thing that is a weapon of coldness, if that makes sense. So it just maybe looks like it's shooting ice, but it's not just that. It's a weapon of coldness. And what does that enable you to do? That enables you to melt hot things. That enables you to freeze enemies. That enables you to potentially create things like bridges across gaps out of ice. So there's loads of different things that you can do with something that shoots coldness. Conversely, like things like the opposite of that, which is the thing that shoots heat. What does that mean? It's not just a ball of lava. It's a thing that shoots heat. What can you do with heat? You can melt things. You can set things on fire. You can make things that are large, small, potentially, by burning them. There's a whole bunch of functionality that we can kind of enable using elemental, more fundamental, abstracted ideas of weapons. And I thought, I don't know how many of you have actually had the opportunity to play something like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, but that for me anyway was a really good starting point and inspiration for the weapon. Not, I don't even like thinking about them like weapons. I'll be honest with you. I think of them as gameplay mechanics. Weapons are angry. Weapons are destructive. Weapons are combative. They don't always have to be like that. These are functional aspects of a Metashima that can be used in a battle royale situation, let's say, but they can also be used to create things. They can also be used to participate in collaborative exercises. So I kind of like thinking of them as a little bit more than just weapons, personally. Anyway, I don't know if that kind of, I hope that gives a little bit of an insight. I can go on for hours about this stuff, by the way. So, and I know it's not all about me tonight, so I'm going to stop talking and hand it back to Tessa.
You definitely could, and to be fair, I could probably listen to you talk about it for ages. But yeah, it's interesting because I remember very early on when we were talking about AP1 and accessories, weapons, and we were like, well, let's not talk about them as if they were weapons, because they are accessories. And yeah, it's very what you've just said. And also, a fun fact, guys, we have Nerf guns in our studio. They're still currently missing some bullets, Si. I'm waiting for them, but we're going to have a bit of a...
I'm working on the design for the rack that we're going to mount them all on.
Right,
we'll share
there
a photo
you go.
when we get there.
I'm very excited for that. So is there anything else for you to mention on accessories?
I have a quick question for Ed, actually, which might put him on the spot.
Ooh.
Is there an accessory that you potentially wanted included in the first pack that didn't quite make the cut? And if you've got one to mind, could you describe it for us? Don't worry if you're saving it.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think, and I know we as a team have a lot of plans for the screen or face of the Shima. I think that is an untapped special case accessory. I have a bunch of ideas how that can be almost like a force multiplier for the accessory, if that makes sense. So you'll have an accessory, all the accessories that we've seen, but their function can get multiplied or adjusted by a certain type of content that will go onto the screen itself. The screen being, obviously, we all know that the screen is this incredibly flexible thing that we've got a lot of plans for it, and we've talked about some of it. We haven't talked about a lot of it. This is just one of the things that I've always had in the back of my head. It can be a very rare thing that we can choose to manage, but I really like the idea. I suppose maybe a really good way to think about this and it's not just as simple as this, but imagine a beast mode or a high energy, very time limited mode where you've got your weapon, or you've got your accessory, not a weapon. You've got your weapon, and you're in a combative or a competitive situation, and you pick up a modifier which basically gives you, I don't know, let's say 15 seconds worth of a doubling or tripling or quadrupling of your accessories capabilities. And that can happen on the screen. That maybe is not answering your question exactly, Jake, but I think the screen itself has got a lot of potential to work with the accessories to change them up to this, completely new kind of vibe. I really like that idea.
I'm taking that. That was fantastic.
Cheers,
Yeah,
bro.
that was very cool. And I think we might even touch more on that when we talk a bit more about AI later on in the space. But I think moving on from accessories, which we're so excited to launch, I feel like people want to kind of hear about the mag, that small thing that we're building. Does anyone want to talk about where we're at with that?
Yeah, I can talk about the mag. So a quick recap on the mag. I suppose it's it was conceived of as the virtual play space for your Metashima. So it started with the idea that if you're going to customize and modify and upgrade your Metashima, then we might have some kind of garage. A garage quickly became our kind of vision of Tony Stark's laboratory times 100, and we'll start sharing more images and some of the work that's going on behind the scenes on what that actually looks like. But it's essentially we're not trying to build a large virtual world, so there are many platform plays at the moment in the metaverse and Web3 space where there is lots of cool work happening, whether it's projects like Mona or Wilder World, etc. They're all building out virtual worlds, which in the not too distant future we hope will all connect. For Metashima, the starting point was more about how do we ensure we deliver the interactivity and enjoyment from the core product itself to begin with, so that the Metashima robot, and how do we take everyone on a journey of being part of how you can interact, train, and then take your Shima into different virtual worlds. So the mag itself is I suppose it splits into three kind of basic components. One is there's a living space for your avatars, and obviously where the Shima live themselves, which is ultimately customizable. So there's all of the living areas which we've designed. There's some doors which are currently inaccessible, so they'll reveal more in the future. The second part is the lab itself, so where the kind of Shima are stored, and where you can work on them, so you can visualize them in 3D. You can customize them with AP1. You can try other accessories. You can try different skin combinations. We will introduce unique and special skins that are only accessible via the mag for further customization. One of the ideas we had originally when we were looking at virtual robots was we didn't just want to recreate what droids historically have been presented as in the world of sci-fi. We wanted to introduce a street element to them, so the whole skin side of it and the drips which we've introduced, there'll be more on that to enable richer customization and personalization. And the lab, if you like, is the space where you can do all of that, and it's also the space where you first turn your Metashima on, so it's where it's first activated, if you like. You've got the ability to excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. You've got the ability to power up the lab. The obsidian cell that that we airdropped is very much part of enabling customization within the mag itself, and it's a power source for the lab. So that's kind of the interactive space. But then what happens once you've powered up your Shima? Well, the mag will act as another element, which will be a kind of training and play space to begin with, where you'll start to interact and train your Metashima, learn new skills, and complete some simple tasks and some fun games before we get to releasing Metashima into the world, so to speak. And then how do we access to other virtual worlds? Well, we've got a portal system. So the ambition ultimately for the project is that the MAG will connect with other virtual worlds, and you'll be able to take your Shima, once you've customized it, once you've trained it, once you've personalized it, once the AI is enabled, into those different virtual worlds via the MAG itself.
That just sounds epic.
So that's like the vision for the MAG. And we've made, I say we, the team, because the real rock stars for this project are the people who aren't on this call from the Dimension team. The artists and developers and the producers who have all been working on this project since way before we even announced it. And we completed the first mint 12 months ago. They've put a lot of time and energy in, and actually we started work on the MAG early on. We got part way through the design process and decided it wasn't quite what we were hoping for, so we restarted that. And where are we today? Well, we have completed what I would describe as the majority of the artwork that informs the architecture and look of the MAG itself. So the exterior, where it's located, the interior, the interior rooms for phase one, if you like. So we've the main spaces, but there'll be other areas which we'll build and will become accessible over time. Some of those haven't been started yet. So we've completed the kind of the art, the look, and we've got some further images which we're sharing today to give an update on how that progress is going. All of this has been designed and built in Unreal Engine, and alongside that, we've got the development work happening around the interactivity. So talking more about the lab specifically, how we interface and how users and how the Shima will be brought to life and customized. The programming work is going on alongside that. And then there's the other elements, as of course, as part of that, which is how do we connect wallets to the MAG to ensure that everyone gets the tokens paired with their token IDs paired with their Shima, so that you actually end up with the correct 3D assets. And then there are some other features which will be coming. We'll introduce those in time. I won't do a full reveal, but there are some other elements of the MAG which are in development at the moment, which will also be shared and are super exciting. So, first and foremost, I hope everyone's excited about the look of the MAG. The way in which we've approached it, it's quite a beast. It's based on its own island, for example. The teaser images which you'll see start to give a flavour for some of that island, but don't reveal everything. And what else can I say about it? This is probably a good place to hand over to you, Ed. We can talk about some of the architecture, some of the thinking that's gone into the art direction.
Yeah, you've been really, really involved in the art direction of this space, actually. So which so credit to you there too, mate. I think from my point of view, I was mostly concerned with the look of the interior of the lab itself. I don't want to give away too much yet, but once again, I'm all about consistency of design, right? What we were talking about earlier on with our approach to designing the accessories, making it look like everything's kind of designed and lives in the same universe. It's really, really important to me that we really do our Metashima justice. Like I love them, you guys love them too, which is fantastic. And I'm hoping that everything that we do that surrounds them is does them justice, in terms of design and quality. That's super, super important to us. From a design point of view, with all of the physical structures, there's two aspects, I suppose, design-wise to the MAG, without giving away too much yet. One is its location. So the location being the island and the structure that it's built into. But all of the things that are inside it, the mechanical aspects of it, that's where I was kind of focused a lot of my attention. And And Overwatch, the video game Overwatch, hopefully a bunch of you will be really familiar with that. It's such a beautifully designed, such a beautifully art-directed video game. That really, really, really gave me a lot of inspiration for when we were thinking about all of the mechanical design in the lab and in the areas around the mag that we were designing. So if you're familiar with that, you know, that design aspect of things, then you'll see quite a correlation between the art direction of some of Overwatch and what we're doing with Metashima. And I kind of, we didn't copy that, of course, you know, I mean, that, you know, what I loved the structural aspect of what they did, the beautiful mechanical design of their equipment and their mechanical aspects within that game was an inspiration to me. So I mean, when we all start to kind of share the details and the wider picture of what we've got inside the mag, I really do hope that everyone kind of responds to it in a way that they've already responded to Metashima, and hopefully the accessories too. I think it's looking amazing. The team has done such a fantastic job. It's now exactly like I pictured it in my head, which is all I could ever ask for. So I can't wait for you to see it.
Thank you both. Definitely like massive video games influences, and I'm a bit of a gamer myself, but I feel like I haven't played any of the games you've mentioned, Ed, which upsets me slightly. But for anyone who is a gamer, it's Ratchet and Clank, is that right?
Ratchet and
Overwatch.
Clank. What are
I
you
haven't
talking?
played
You're
it.
not a gamer. You
I
can't call
know.
yourself a
What?
gamer if you don't even know what Ratchet and Clank is.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay, that's it. I'm ending this space right now. I'm not a gamer. Let's leave it at that. But Ratchet and Clank, if anyone hasn't played it, play it. Overwatch, and also Mario Kart. Obviously, everyone's played that one.
What's Mario Kart, Tessa? What is it, Tessa? Come on. What is it?
It's me, Mario. Okay. Anyway, brilliant. Yeah, Mag is just so epic. I can't wait for everyone to see more. And we do have some sneaks that we're gonna share, poster spaces. Yeah, they're beautiful shots. We kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but AI is crazy right now. How is AI going to be introduced into Metashima?
They're going to take over the world and kill us all. That's what's going to happen. To put, you know.
Well, there's a bright outlook.
Yeah, thanks for that, Ed.
But they're going to kill us with love, I think, you know?
Oh, God.
Here we go.
That was a serious question, Tessa, was it? Okay. Well, we haven't heard their voices yet, have we? We haven't spoken to one yet. We haven't interacted with one yet. They are not our friends yet. But this is all of the things that we all want. You know.
Well, actually, just to chip in there, Ed, I've asked it a question. I've got as far as having a very simple dialogue with a Shima. It's just.
Is this your dream again, Simon? Is that
no? It's just not.
Or Jake?
Actually,
sorry, it's Jake. Sorry.
It's not connected to the Shima at this point in time. So I mean, this is just some of the AI R&D we've got going on behind the scenes, where we're actively testing speech to text, text to speech, and just looking at how that's going to work with the Shima. But like Ed says, it will have. I mean, there'll be multiple ways for them to communicate, right? So it won't just be a voice or a sound. It will also be audio visual in terms of the screens. Can communicate via emojis or GIFs or videos or other forms of response, including the way in which some of the features on the Shima themselves animate. So we're I suppose, Tess, to answer your question on AI, that's an area of active R&D for us at the moment. And of course, as most people in the spaces will be familiar with, the AI space is moving at a phenomenal speed at the moment. So we're kind of laying the foundational work in terms of how we feel we should approach it with the Shima, and then we're going to run some tests. And I think, in the interest of transparency, as soon as we're happy to share some of that, we will be sharing some of those tests, so the community can get a sense of where we're going with it. I don't think we're looking to just suddenly turn it on and say, hey, here is a Shima and it's fully AI enabled. I think we'll share some of the progress and the journey along the way, because it's going to be fun.
I think what's important though as well is just to reinforce the idea that these are a companion within the metaverse, right? So it's not really enough for us to just give it a ChatGPT kind of chatbot response mechanism. What we want to do is make them clever, right? So obviously, I'm not talking about well, I guess I am talking about maybe a more sophisticated version of digital assistants like Siri or Alexa or Google Assistant. So the AI bit will make them more conversational, easier to interact with. But what we want to do is make them, of course, to increase the utility of them, to make them more functional. So they should be able to do things for you, right? Now, the classic thing, if it was real, and go get me a beer, Metashima. You know what I mean? That's the real dream. But they could actually do the digital versions of useful things like that. They could go and find out, the concert times and or if there's a delay. I mean, I'm just spitballing here. I'm even kind of thinking about too simplistic things, but the idea is that they will have utility. It's only so interesting if you can just talk to them and get some responses from them. It's even better if they can actually be of use to you within this digital environment that we're all going to be kind of hanging out in soon. So that's a large part of what the AI will bring to Shima Forest as well.
Yeah, there'll be personalization, right? So the aim is that they'll have characters which will develop over time, and some of the training, I suppose, with holders will help to inform that. But you're absolutely right about the utility. I mean, it's difficult to predict exactly where the metaverse is going right now, other than to look at the classic sci-fi tropes and concepts. But we imagine vast virtual worlds and virtual universes, which will all be different and conceptual in nature. So how will a Metashima help you navigate and interact with those different worlds? I think some of the possibilities are yet to be really kind of honed in on, because we just haven't got to a point where we think, oh, do you know what, that's going to be perfect for that use case, because we're not there yet. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting journey.
One quick segue into that actually is we've got the alliance with Volts. So for you guys who follow the page, we announced our alliance with Volts and 7 other communities, one of which is in here actually. Shout out to ideation. It's super exciting. So it was a combination of all these communities coming together with the goal of sharing a real metaverse experience and pushing the boundaries of interoperability. So what that means is we're going to have this Mana field trip. So you guys head to the Volts website. They've developed this really cool piece of tech where you can connect your wallet up and actually get a link to your 3D asset, and you can take that directly into the Mana metaverse without having to worry about downloading your 3D files, messing about with your avatar, and use it straight away. So this is the first real beta test where these 7 communities are coming together to see what that's actually going to look like. And it's super exciting because it's literally the first test, right? And then from there we can take that into the MAG, for instance. So Sai talked about the portal earlier, and imagine this portal is a bit like that Crash Bandicoot level that you've heard me talk about a million times, where you can jump in to various different levels that take you to all these different worlds. Because I don't see one winner here, I see multiple. So you might want to jump into Monoverse because they offer a different type of experience versus Hyperfi or Spatial or Decentraland. So yeah, super exciting. I just wanted to chuck that in quickly, sneak in.
There's correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, but is there spaces tomorrow with everyone?
Yes, yeah. So we've got a spaces tomorrow evening. It's basically a round table to introduce all 7 projects. It'd be a great opportunity for those guys to hear about what we're building and for us to hear about them, so we can all support each other. And then on Friday, we've got the field trip. So we'll be jumping in a spaces hosted by Monoverse, and we'll actually land in their metaverse and experience that for the very first time. So it's super cool. from then, I'm not sure what the plans are in the future. I think we're going to continue to expand it, but again, yeah, definitely recommend joining us because I think it's the first time I've really seen something like this happen. I mean, the guys over at Yuga, they did a massive flight test, but where there's seven different communities all coming together, I think is huge. Actually, T,
It's definitely,
I'll pin
yeah,
it. I'll pin it so people can find it. Then you can just scroll down, set your reminders, do your thing.
brilliant. Do that. Thanks, Jake. So I've got another segue to go into, which is to talk about the 3D files. I think we released the 3D files November time last year, and since then we have seen some amazing content from the Shima creators. But there have been a few questions around the process of creating Metashima 3D files, and I feel like the community would just love to hear from the experts on all of the challenges relating to releasing the files. So if Ed or Sai want to pitch in on
Am
that.
I an expert, Tessa? Am I?
Yes,
Okay, yeah, I guess I am.
you are.
Specifically, what would you like me to talk about? Once again, I could talk for an hour on this alone, you know. Anything in
I
particular?
reckon let's summarize what it takes to create them because I think we've got a
Sure.
lot of us want to use our own personal Shima inside these metaverse worlds, and I think some insight into what goes into actually creating them ready to be used would be really handy.
Absolutely. So there's two things we can talk about then. The first one is how does, and a bunch of people on this call no doubt will know a lot of what I'm about to say. So apologies if I'm kind of pitching this maybe below what you already know. So apologies right there. But the creation of the Metashima, I can just describe to you how we made them. They were modeled in 3D Studio Max, which is one of the most popular 3D modeling applications in the whole world. It's the most popular one in video games. Maya is also similar in Blender. They're the three big ones. You'll no doubt all be familiar with those. We used 3D Studio Max because it's what most of our team knew. Certainly the team that was working on Metashima anyway. They were then we used Substance Painter to design a lot of the shaders. We ingested them directly into Unreal Engine, where we created a whole bunch of systems within Unreal for all of the other things that surrounded how we make Metashima. But the actual assets themselves, there's nothing particularly special about the 3D models of them. They're just polygons, right? It's as simple as that. They can be imported or exported from one 3D package into any other 3D package, really. But one of the things that is important to remember about them is the way they look is a function of a number of things. The way they look is a function of the 3D model itself. It's also a function of something called a shader, which is effectively the surface property on top of the polygons. Polygons being the model. The shader is the paint that coats the model. And then the third thing that contributes to what they look like is the lighting that lights them up. So the first thing, which is the 3D model, is quite agnostic in terms of program. So that 3D model can be taken from us and put into Blender. It can be put into Maya. It can be put into Houdini. It can be put into loads and loads of different 3D applications. What cannot very easily be taken into other applications are the shaders and the lighting. And that's because the shaders and the lighting were done inside Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine has a very particular way of doing shaders, has a very particular way of doing lighting. And that's absolutely common amongst all 3D real-time graphics engines, which then makes the following quite a difficult thing. So you all know that there's many different types of environments and metaverses and ecosystems that are popping up around this space at the moment. And they're all running fundamentally on a 3D real-time engine. And each engine will have its own very particular way of doing the things that I've just described. So one of the big challenges that faces us and everyone that are producing content like this, and our ambition is that this content can kind of move seamlessly. Once you own it, you own it. That's yours, right? We all know this. But what we all want to do is be able to take our content that we own and move it seamlessly from one ecosystem, one environment, one engine into another ecosystem, another environment, another engine. And it needs to still look the same, or at least recognizably the same as the thing that you own, because it's your thing. It's, you own it. It's unique to you. So that's a big challenge, because each engine, each environment is so different in terms of its technical requirements, all the way from a shader in Unreal Engine cannot go into Decentraland. It cannot go into Minecraft. It cannot go into Fortnite. Well, actually, weirdly, it can go into Fortnite because Fortnite was made in Unreal Engine. So that's something that we're working, not just us, but that's just something that the development community is working really hard to get a solution to. Yeah, so we've got a lot of work to do there to make it seamless, and to get to a point where we've got a format of data that is common. Almost like, I've heard it described like, what we need is the HTML of 3D data, right? HTML being the universal language of the internet, of the web page. We need something similar for 3D data and animations. So yeah, I mean, I probably kind of maybe gone a little bit off topic there, but I hope that has been somewhat useful in terms of the challenges that we face for the upcoming effort, which, anyway, back to you, Jake and Tessa. Was that useful? Or if there's any more questions, by the way, shoot them at me.
Yeah, that was mega, Ed. Thank you. I'm keeping an eye on the questions in Discord, and if there's any that crop up, I'll hand up and jump in.
No bother.
That was amazing, Ed, as always. It kind of goes a bit over my head, so I hope everyone else understands it, but I'm sure they do. But we'll have this whole Spaces recorded, and I'm planning to make little tidbits of everything great that our founders say. So I'll definitely be re-listening and understanding exactly the process of all of it. Is there anything else to add on 3D files, or should we skip ahead?
Yeah,
I have one thing. Actually, just that I'd like to say, if that's all right.
No.
Oh, is that all right? Okay, I'm going to say it anyway. So, as someone who was kind of involved with the design of the Metashima, when I was thinking about releasing the 3D models to the community, I will admit to being a little bit hesitant, a little bit kind of, oh, what's going to happen? But man, oh man, like some of the stuff that I've seen, created in the community, it's so cool. And it really kind of has made me think that like, it's not crowdsourcing. It really, that's the wrong word for it. But just sharing your toys with other people is a really good thing. It makes things just come out of that process that I would have never thought about. So I just wanted to kind of say that I was a little bit, I don't know if I want to do this, but of course, I was proven wrong. So absolutely keep playing around with them. Keep coming up with incredible content. Thank you very much, is what I would say.
Thanks, Ed. Ed loves the drips, by the way. Big fan of drips and artist drips. So any creators, please continue to use drips. Actually, what we should talk about that, Ed, briefly, because as part of the design process we've been through, we've had to find a balance on the aesthetic and how we work with some of the other artists and collabs we've got going on in a way which enables artwork to be introduced or used, but ideally in the right way, so it's still in keeping with the kind of product vision we have for Shima, and internally we've had some fun and games just about, you know, finding that balance, if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I
Actually,
was going to
sorry.
say on the
Oh, sorry,
one thing I was going to say on the 3D files was, and this is to your point, Ed, really about some of the challenges I suppose the industry faces when, you know, when you're working in you know, siloed engines, I suppose, where they've got the ability to serve certain virtual worlds and certain platforms, but not everything right now, and those challenges will inevitably be overcome in time. When we first launched the project, for us, it was always about, you know, hitting a quality and a certain, you know, aesthetic. You know, we wanted the Shima and indeed the, you know, the mag and the virtual spaces that you'll see that start to come to life to have kind of a physicality to them. So we almost want, you know, the ambition was that, you know, it could be SpaceX or Tesla or Apple, or, you know, choose another consumer electronics brand that, you know, could actually physically manufacture the Shima. So they had a certain look to, you know, a level of realism and a level of detail that was applied to the design of them, which kind of gives that physicality. And the reason that the first, I suppose, with the exception of the generic 3D files that we've released, the reason that the mag and the lab in particular is the first access point for the 3D files is it enables us to help curate and kind of protect a level of quality and control around that with the first part of the mag experience and how you interact with the Shima. So they look great. We want to continue to ensure that they look great, and the lab and the mag enables us to do that. So that's been kind of part of the thinking, as some of the other kind of opportunities that and worlds that we want to take the Shima into, those opportunities become, you know, possible. So that's one of the reasons that the you know, everything's been built in Unreal Engine, for example, is to maintain that kind of consistency.
Just on that, you just reminded me just to share that I've had a really interesting conversation with a lady who reps lots of really cool up and coming digital artists who are really excited about working with us. So I can, when that beds down a little bit more, I'll be happy to share some of that with our community. But it's very cool. Ed, you're going to love it.
If you love it, you know, I'll love it.
Ed's drinking his fourth Guinness, Yosh. You're not going to get much more out of it.
No. But by the way, Yosh is one of those people that wears those trainers. You know, those trainers that have like I don't know how old you are, Yosh, but you wear the trainers of a 15-year-old. So like, you know, that I tend to not kind of you know, put much weight into your aesthetic decisions, my friend. But I love you. But
Mate,
you know,
you're that guy at an event who has a cap with beer cans coming out the top and straws.
how did you know? I totally have that.
I've seen your passport photo.
I can safely say to not listen to any of the founders' fashion advice.
Oh, you told me I was looking all right the other day, Tess.
Yeah, but that's because you're in your Murakami drips. You
That's
did
'cause you're
look
the
very,
boss.
very, very cool.
Wait, I need to jump in with a
Go on,
quick
Jake.
fire question.
Jump.
This one's for you, Ed. You mentioned standards for 3D models akin to HTML standards. How close are we with the rise of Unreal Engine? And the second question, why isn't there a Blender style editor in Unreal?
So the answer to the first one, which is standard, is we're kind of close at the high end. So there's a file format called USD. It stands for Universal Scene Descriptor. It was invented by Pixar, and it's an open source file format. Now that means, of course, that anyone can adopt it. Anyone can choose to adopt that. The more people that choose to adopt that, the happier everyone will be. That's really, open source is the way forward for everything. I mean, Blender for the win, right? Absolutely. Keep it open source. The more things get open source, the more people can share and collaborate with each other. So that's a file format called USD, and it's available. And we are going. This year will be the year that a lot of people in production will use that file format. We just need to convince everyone to use it. It's really going to be the glue that keeps all of this 3D metaverse stuck together. So that would be the answer for the first question, Jake. And the second one is, what I wonder what the person who asked the question means by a Blender style editor. Do you have any more information on the question?
Potentially, I'll see. It's from so hopefully it could come in and shed some light. But if I read it out here, it says, "Why isn't there a Blender style editor in Unreal Engine? I can just make buildings and metahumans." So I wonder if that points you in the right direction. If not, we'll bank it and I'll circle back with you and get an answer.
Maybe, and I might. It might be this. It might be like, why isn't there a full 3D modeling capability in Unreal Engine? It might be that.
Let's go for that. And if that's not right, we'll circle back.
Okay. Unreal can do a lot. It can't do everything. There's nothing that can do everything. In fact, Blender's probably the closest thing in the whole world in terms of a package that can do everything. But Blender's not as good at sculpting as ZBrush. Blender's not as good at real-time rendering as Unreal Engine. Blender's not as good at modeling, at animation as, let's say, Maya. But it can do all of the things. So if the question did mean about modeling, Unreal Engine 5 and 5.1 have introduced some new modeling tools which are way more capable than they were in the past. Now, you wouldn't be able to model a Metashima in Unreal. You still can't do that. But you can do many more complex things than you could in the previous versions of Unreal. I still think that the best way to model a thing is in a dedicated modeling package like Blender or Max or Maya or ZBrush, and then import it into the real-time environments like Unity, Unreal Engine, Decentraland, etc. I still think that is the best way to do it, and I think it will be the best way to do it for quite a while. I think. Anyway, I hope that answers the question that the person asked. That's my answer.
Thanks, Ed. Watch this space, by the way, everyone. I'm secretly learning to use Blender. I'm going to be doing the donut tutorial, and I will be making all of Metashima's 3D art by this time next year.
Go Tess.
That's my ambition.
Yes.
Thank you. It's going to happen.
Don't forget, there's a crew of us as well, T, inside the community. So we've got a secret little hidden channel that none of you can see apart from those who know. And we're trying to learn Blender between us. We've got a mixture of little breakdowns on the go, whether you're working an hour a day, 30 minutes a day, or whatever you can fit in during the week. And we're trying to push each other to get that donut complete and see if we can.
Blender is incredible, absolutely incredible. It's the most revolutionary, disruptive piece of software in content creation and VFX in the last 20 years.
Here's one then. So what if we, and this is a lot of people that are in that Learning Blender group are in this spaces right now. I won't call them out, but what if we got you to judge, well, you three to judge the donuts we create? I won't attach names to it, so you can't add any bias, right? Because if you see mine, you're going to pick mine first. But that'd be pretty cool. I'd give them some motivation, right? If you got you guys judging.
Hells yeah, yeah. I'm up for judging some donuts. Right. Yeah, bring them on.
Although I bet there's a couple that have joined that secretly know how to use it and they just want the bonus points. But it's all good. It's all fun and games.
I'll tell you what. I'll know them straight away, Jake. I'll name them. You know, if I see a good donut, I know a good donut when I see it.
Here's a question for you. Why did it start out with a donut? Why not anything else? I've never really wrapped my head around that.
There's all sorts of nerdery. You know, you've got your donut, you've got your Idaho teapot, you've got your rabbit. You know, like your Pixar, yeah, all sorts of stuff there.
Nice. So we make the donut. What would you advise is next? So once I get my donut with some blue icing on there, a couple of sprinkles, I might even flip for a blueberry. God, that was a tongue twister.
I suppose one thing I would say with Blender is don't bite off more than you can chew. Blender can do everything, right? You can never know everything. You can never be really good at everything. You just cannot, right? And you don't want to either. What you want to be is really good at the things that you enjoy doing. Some people just love modeling, and they're like, "Oh my God, I just love modeling." I mean, you guys know me. Like, I love modeling my Gundam kits, and I'm a modeler at heart. some people just love animating. Some people love just lighting things, you know, and Blender can do all of those things. But that would be my one piece of advice with learning Blender is don't ever try to learn all of the things straight away. Well, you may never ever know all of the things and spend 30 years making VFX your job and never know all of the things. So yeah, don't try.
Don't try is the advice.
Don't just give up.
from
Just
Ed.
give up. Just give up. Yeah, just well, to be honest with you, the AI is going to do it all anyway, right? Mid-Journey and
Oh God, yeah.
Dolly and they're going to do it all. Just basically, I just type into Mid-Journey, make me a donut, and you got a donut.
I'm gonna have to rethink my donut if you're judging it, Ed. I'm gonna have to add like some sprinkles that are like cat faces. I feel like that will win it.
You know me too well, D.
I have the upper hand. I feel like we've gone a little bit off sidetrack, but great conversations. But there is just one thing that we need to bring up as well is just talking about obviously where we're all from, Dimension, and everything that is going on with Dimension. There's been film releases, new virtual production, music video releases, and I feel like the best person to talk about this, hopefully, if all tech issues are good, is my man Yash.
Wow, what an opening! Thank you, Tess. We've got a really enviable job, right, at Dimension, where we get to see loads of the cutting edge briefs, and have the ability to R&D with our clients, animation, avatars, virtual worlds, virtual humans. And what's really difficult about the difficult part of our job is that a lot of our productions take 12, 15 months to come to light. So for those of you who have looked at our website and stuff and seen some of the projects that are coming out, the I Want to Dance with Somebody moving the bar pick of Whitney, I mean, that was in production for 18 months, but it's cracked some really incredible technical challenges by being able to populate vast stadiums with volumetric humans. We've also been working with the likes of Neymar, producing his avatar, the same with NARS Cosmetics. And all of these things, I think, what it allows us to do is take the learnings from what we're working on with clients and apply it to the other stuff that we're working on in-house. So techniques, artist approaches, modeling, as Ed was talking about earlier, can all be applied to stuff we're doing on Metashima. So that's what's been really exciting about some of the stuff that we can transfer into the design of the mag and some of the animations that we're producing and some of the interactivity. They're all coming out of some of the client projects we're working on. So that's been really exciting. We've got some really huge productions happening this year. The team is growing. So I think we're over 100 people now, and still hiring for lots of key roles. We're kind of split into different divisions. So we've got like a virtual production team that works mostly on the feature side of what we do. We've got a character team. We've got a dedicated team that works on Metashima that we can pull in from other parts of the business that aren't as busy at certain times because we're waiting for a project to kick off properly. So that gives us the ability to be flexible, and keep things exciting for the team as well. In other news, Jake, we talked about putting a channel in Discord which shows some of the events that we're going to be at or talking at or attending. I think it'd be really useful to have that visible for everyone because, Simon, myself, Ed, are all kind of on the speaking circuit doing different bits and bobs, but there's some big events coming up. I'll be at South by Southwest. If anyone's in the Texas area and fancies a beer, by all means, let me know and we can make that happen. And there's other events in the UK that are happening in June. I think there's Tech Week in June that we'll be at. I think we're trying to work out a speaker slot there as well. So it'd be great to put some faces to names, and hang out together. I think that's something that we're probably going to try and do this year as well. Make diaries work is pretty hard to coordinate, but we'll make it happen. So thanks, Tess. Handing back.
Definitely. We definitely need to make that events calendar happen, because sometimes we get asked to speak at events like in a short space of time. But you guys might be there, and it'd be so awesome to meet up with all of you. So Jake, it'll be on you tomorrow to do that.
I got it. I got it.
We are over the hour mark. I can't believe it. It's gone so quick. I am gonna move on to potentially any questions that have been asked in Discord, or if anyone wants to come up and ask a question, unless there's anything else to say before that from our team. Or are we good to go?
I think we're good to go, Tess.
We're good to go.
Yeah, good to take questions. Obviously, big thank you to everyone who's joined today and listened to us go on about the project. I think one thing I'd like to just wrap on would be, obviously we appreciate everyone's involvement in the project and support for the project. Since day one we've been on this kind of roadmap. I hope people are seeing the delivery against that roadmap. Certain things do take time when we're focused on the quality that we're trying to deliver, but we are delivering against the kind of promises we've been making. So hopefully that's coming through, even though there may be periods I know where some of us are quite quiet on social or on Discord, for example, but don't ever read that as the project's not being worked on really hard behind the scenes, because it is, and there's a fantastic team that are involved in trying to make this happen. So yeah, thanks everyone.
Yeah, I can definitely say on behalf of the team, all of us individually are working so hard, and we just want to deliver the very, very best to all of you. And we're gonna deliver. It's definitely gonna happen. But I am gonna I've been speaking to Nex throughout this space, and I don't want to make him feel nervous, but I'm gonna bring you up, and because I know you would just love to ask the team, particularly Ed, some questions. So Nex, please take the floor.
Yeah, talk about not putting on some pressure there, Tess. Yeah, thank you for having me on stage. Not nervous at all. Yeah, personal one to Ed, and then one for the team, really. So I'll ask the one to Ed first. Obviously, as someone who is passionate about video games, which character have you enjoyed playing the most? Which one have you related to the most out of all the games you've ever played? And nothing's off limits, right?
Related to the most. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So for me, it's Squall from Final Fantasy VIII, right? He's one of the ones
Oh,
for me.
yeah. Wicked. Okay. I'm going to go with the comedy answer first, which is Leisure Suit Larry. Now, anyone who actually knows what that is, that's probably why, you might be laughing there, but that's not true. Anyway, I'm moving on to the serious answer of the question. Right. I think I've always liked Kane from the Legacy of Kane, or and the kind of slightly earlier games within the Legacy of Kane series.
Oh, good answer.
You know that one next. Have you ever played those games?
Yeah, on the PS1, right? Of course.
Yeah.
We still pull that out today, Ed. We still pull it out today. That
Really?
Oh,
Oh man, that's awesome. And I don't know why. I don't know why. I kind of dig it. I don't know.
You know what it is? It's the environments, right? They really put a lot into the environments, and I think developers they miss the trick. You go back to the N64 days, PS1 days. They don't do it the same, do they? So that's why those games hit, right?
Yeah. And you remember in that game they actually had that. There was a way where you could kind of change it was 2 dimensions, so you could kind of go from one dimension to the other, and the whole environment would actually kind of change and morph. Yeah, I love that. I mean, character wise, that was really, really good. Obviously, I think. Let me think. You put me on the spot now, man. So I'm trying to think of a character that I kind of associate myself with. I mean, the characters that I liked playing, I suppose, were, I know this is a bit cliche, but the more kind of heroic ones, the ones that were, Aloy from the Horizon games, You know, any like Nathan Drake, of course. These are all cliche kind of ones, but ones that would make you feel badass and kind of heroic, things that you couldn't actually do in real life. And I love, I mean, Nathan Drake. That's a good one, actually. One of the reasons that I like Nathan and the way he's written into the into those games is the comedy aspect of it. You know, I mean, I kind of like to think that I'm funny. I don't know if anyone else around me think that I'm funny, but
Nope.
I think the way the way Nathan Drake's written into those games is hilarious to me. I love the way he's written. So yeah, and he can be serious too sometimes, which is what I like about him too. So I don't know next if they're good answers, but
No, it
I bet
definitely
you.
is.
Listen, it's one of those things next, right? That as soon as this conversation's over, a bunch of them are going to pop into my head, and I'm like, God damn it, I should have said that one. That was, you know. So,
Well, my DMs are open, Ed. My DMs are open if you want to share stories.
all right, brother. All right. Yeah, well, listen. Yeah. Well, let me think on, mate. Let me think. I'll come back with a proper answer.
No, and it is a good answer, and I tell you why I asked the question, and you answered it perfectly right, because I go quite deep when it comes to all this kind of stuff, and so when I'm hearing you talking about the way a character was written into a story, it kind of gives me a good insight into your mind as to the way you approach these things. So it was a very good answer,
Oh,
and
cheers, man.
so the actual question. Let's go back to the project, right? Let's go back to business. So what I want to know is, and I appreciate that there might not be movement on this. Are there any details, teasers, anything you could give specifically around the training dojos?
That question for me.
Well, it's who's best placed to answer that, right? I mean, maybe Size DM everyone else saying, "Don't talk." I don't know.
I mean, I can maybe say one thing, Si, very briefly. Have you ever? Do you have an Oculus Quest by any chance?
I do.
Okay, so you'll be familiar, and this is not what we're planning, but I think it's a good way to kind of describe what we want to do without describing what we want to do, if you know what I mean. So when you put on the Quest and you've got that the latest version of Horizon Worlds. Have you tried Horizon Worlds next?
Absolutely. I get lost in there. I get lost in there.
Okay, so then you'll know what I'm about to talk about really well. You know the very intro bit in Horizon Worlds where the first thing you do, you start off in your space, and then you get the opportunity to look at your avatar in a mirror. But then immediately after that, you're presented with a number of very, on the face of it, very basic kind of instances where you're introduced to the mechanics of moving around Horizon. Like, how do you talk to someone? How do you instigate your privacy shield? How do you teleport? You know what I mean? You know that very, very first bit next?
Yeah, listen, I'm getting a little bit excited here, so so keep talking, keep talking. I like it.
So what we want to do with the dojo is to just abstract away all of the complexities of the world that we're going to ultimately drop you into, and then just focus on the mechanics, right? You present each mechanic, and very, very simple, like how do you move? How do you use any of the accessories that you've got, and just have them in a very, I mean, we've all done this kind of stuff many, many times in video games. These tutorial levels, they're super, super simple. They're not taxing at all gameplay wise. The whole intention is to just make it easy for you to understand what button does what, and it gives you the ability to kind of play around and get comfortable with that without having any sort of consequence, right? That's what the dojo is largely.
I really, really appreciate that answer, Ed. And yeah, my mind's kind of going with where I think you guys are going with this as well. And listen, I'm pretty sure I speak for the entire community, man. We all appreciate you guys so much. We value everything that you're doing here, the quality, the process. So just keep building, guys. We really appreciate it.
No, man, it's great to hear. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Nex.
Is that another founder? Was that another founder then?
That was Yash.
You have to introduce me to that guy, right?
Yeah, still too. I'm really loving Nex and Ed just talking. I would love for you both to just like have a little space session. I've been saying it for a while, and I would love to make it happen. So next, I'm going to be at you to do that. Jake, are there any other people who we need to bring up? I think Keeps
Yeah,
has got his
let's go
hand.
Keeps, and then we'll go Ed.
Okay. So first, I wanted to ask, can everyone hear me? Sorry if it's a little loud in the background. I'm literally at a second job right now. After getting off of a 14-hour shift, I'm now making pizzas right now at a pizza shop. So, hey, trying to do what I can to buy as many Shima as possible. But I got two questions for the team pretty much. One, so since like the very beginning pictures of when we first saw Ada, I played that Matrix demo, that release on like the Xbox Series X way earlier in the year last year. And just from me playing that demo, I was able to kind of gather really quickly that you guys were using that engine or something in that engine rather in like the stills from the pictures of Ada you were showing. And then I believe you guys teased something and you guys announced that, hey, we are using this engine. It may have been in a Shima paper too. I can't remember right now. I've been working since 5 a.m. this morning. But what made you guys look at the Matrix engine that was released and say, this is something we need to be working with? Because I find that really fascinating.
I guess that's one for me again, I think. Hey dude, so I hope you're feeling well, man. It sounds like you're probably kind of like super tired right now, but like awesome question. So we've been using Unreal Engine long before that came out. So that Matrix demo that you're talking about wasn't a decision point for us. Our team were already Unreal Engine experts long before that came out. So that particular demo that you're describing came out to coincide with the release of Unreal Engine 5, which is, as you all know, the latest, newest version of Unreal. But we've been using Unreal Engine for years and years and years before that. So our technology, our pipeline, our skill set was already aligned with that engine. And it was a no-brainer for us, pretty much. But imagine having a tool that you use for your job, and then somebody comes along and goes, "Hey, you know that tool that you've been using for 10 years? Here's some, like, it's got lasers now, and it's got an MP3 player in it." And it's like, okay, I'm gonna keep using that tool then. Thanks very much. So that's kind of what happened with us, and Unreal Engine just keeps getting better and better and better. So those images that you saw of Ada walking around the Matrix City, we only really dropped her in there as a stopgap, really, just to see what she looked like in a really, really high end, very well known environment. And we knew that you guys would recognize it, so that was a kind of a kick for us too. Don't know if that answers your question.
It definitely answers it, and I'll tell you, I don't know if everyone else recognized it, but I definitely did, and I was championing that for like so
Yeah.
long. Like, this would be so cool if you guys use it. You guys should definitely use it. And then when I saw it, it was like icing on the cake, and
Oh, so cool,
so
man.
excited.
It's actually it's bananas. It's absolutely bananas what we can do in real time now. It just blows my mind. I've been doing this thing. I've been in real time since 1994. Yes, I am that old, right? But I've been doing this since then. And honestly, it's the best job in the world because everything changes almost every year. It's like, what? We can do that now? We can have real time hair. We can have real time water physics. We have a whole city running around in what? It's just nuts. I love it.
Agreed. Now I got another question for pretty much. This pretty much goes out to both Yash, Simon, Tess, pretty much the team. And I just want to ask you guys. Now, as you guys know, I've been running spaces for not only the project, but for myself as like a way of just like helping me deal with some issues I have and building audiences and stuff, and just building the brand as much as I can through Metashima and helping out in any way I can for like it's been over a year now. And I wanted to ask, is there like any way, I know I kind of have something I'm trying to set up with Jake where I can have Jake come through for one of our Friday spaces and I interview him, but it'd be wonderful if maybe I could have each of you guys come through and sit through our new versions of our, sorry, there's a police car coming by. But it'd be wonderful if I could have like one of you guys come through, or maybe all of you guys individually come through a Friday space and sit down and maybe answer some questions and talk to everyone. I feel like it'd be a really great vibe to have you guys sit down. I know Yutch, you came through before. Simon, you've come through before, like some of our Friday spaces, but we've recently changed the format a little bit and made it a little bit more personal. And it'll be a really good way for our community as a whole to really get to know you guys a little bit more. We won't really ask questions about the project as much, more so just about you guys in general and like what helps you get into this space and everything like that. And I think it'll be a really good way to kind of impact on the community in more ways. Sorry, I am
I'm
definitely
down.
off.
I'm down for that.
Yes, thank you. I will message you
Definitely,
and we
man.
will try to get something set up. I'm going to message each and every one of you about this, but I just think it'll be really great because I know a lot of things that a lot of projects really lack in is that connection with the community. And that's one thing that we as a team, and I say we because I do view myself as part of the team, is we do that really well, is we connect very well with our community here and we try to establish that not just like, hey, you guys are supporting us. It's like, hey, no, this is a friendship and we have actual bonds here in this community. And I think it'll give everyone a really good chance to get some deeper perspective on who you guys truly are. Unfortunately, I don't give you the questions beforehand, but I promise you they're nothing too bad, but they are stuff that will make you think. And it ends up being a really great space. I have a bunch of recordings of previous spaces you listen to, like we've talked to Igori, Vega Genesis. You know, it's just a really great time, and we're trying to build out the Shima family as much as we can. So I really look forward to it. And if you guys are interested, I would thank you in advance. It just really means a lot. And it's our way to kind of show you guys that, hey, we really want to know about you guys outside of the Metashima project. And as weird as that may be, like, we care.
I'd love that,
Sounds
man.
fantastic, man. And you might have picked up on the fact that I'm happy enough to talk. So yeah, count me in.
Awesome. So I will message each and every one of you, and I'll try to get this all scheduled out and stuff so that we can get these spaces going and stuff and get everything scheduled out in a calendar. I'll make some graphics around it and get some stuff going. That way we can get a big audience of people. It's going to be really, really cool. I'm super excited for it.
Legendary. Thanks for that, Keeps, brother. We'll definitely get that booked in. Margot, you're up next. Let's hear from you. How are you?
Hello. I hope you can hear me okay.
Say that again, sorry, can hear you. No, I'm just messing. Yeah, loud and clear. Go.
Oh, Jake, you're lost.
I knew that. Well,
Jesus,
I think it's so that I knew that. But anyway, hello. So happy to be here again. Missed the spaces, missed everyone's voices. Big thank yous to the entire team for being here today, telling us super exciting things about what's coming for Metashima, about the AP1 and the MAG. You are a bunch of such amazing, interesting individuals that I literally get goosebumps every time I listen to you all talking about all these developments and what's coming, about the vision, about the future. Really so inspiring. My question is about the creative process behind AP1. So what did it look like for you? Did you have to produce some sort of prototypes, or did you have to go through multiple iterations of different accessory types? How did you come up with the powers? Did you initially come up with many more powers than the 8, and then you just triangulated and narrowed it down to the ones that you want to stick with? What did this process look like? Was it more like linear, or was it more creative chaos? If you could tell us a bit more about that, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Margo. I can start on this one, and then Ed will probably have some thoughts on it as well. I think. I mean, creative chaos. It's not creative chaos, but that said, there are like lots of tasks running in parallel when we're working on the project. So we've kind of got an overall roadmap, and then the team, comprises a lead producer who's Faye, responsible for managing the project, assigning tasks to the team, keeping it on track and on schedule. And then the team itself includes the concept team, the artists, the modelers, the animators, the programmers. Ed and I are kind of co-creative directors, I suppose. Ed more in tune with how to get the best from Unreal Engine and get the artist to deliver the right results that we're looking for. So each of those tasks, if you like, is kind of like, depending on the nature of what we're trying to complete. In the case of AP1, it was like, right, the first accessory pack, we've got an idea of what we want to do with the Metashima as kind of like a phase 1 deliverable for what kind of functions we might want to introduce to begin with, physical functions for the Metashima. And that in itself is its own creative brief. So normally that would look like we would sit down as a team and we would say, okay, the first accessory, we think we want to target this territory. Do we want to target something that's like weaponry focused, or gives you the ability to defend yourself, or as Ed was describing earlier in the conversation, not just something that's designed to kill but can provide some other utility. So we kind of broke it down into various buckets, and we decided actually the place we wanted to start, where we felt that we could also have some really great fun within the training dojo that Nex was asking about, was in the accessories and the weaponry that we've looked at for the first drop. So really it was like, okay, once we'd settled on, we'll take a look at what we want to do within that space. The kind of design process, or the creative process, really started in earnest. So it was a brainstorm session with the team, thinking about the superpowers. We already had an idea of how the DNA types were going to break down. So how did the DNA types tie in with what the superpowers would be, and how that might manifest in the AP1, 8 different accessories for AP1. And we, typically you might follow a process whereby you go through, scamps that's how, people used to talk about, illustrative, designs, concept art and design work on paper, or if you like, which, starts to sketch out what the ideas for each of those might look like. Actually, in this instance, we went straight into modeling. So we'd already had kind of a design language established around the Metashima themselves, and we knew that the accessories, had to complement that and build on the kind of principles we've established for the design work. So we went straight into some simple blockouts, modeling for the different accessories, and some of them were easier to crack than others. So there's the 8 different types, and they've all got an individual look. The way in which they kind of represent the superpower and the capability that they're supposed to provide to the Metashima. Some of the accessories were easier for us to hone in on. So, for example, Beast, I think very quickly we knew that Beast was going to be able to launch rockets, and we wanted that to have quite a chunky physical attribute, which looked like it was a launcher for rockets that you could have some fun with. Whereas other accessories, we spent more time fine-tuning and finessing. So Spawn, I think Ed mentioned that was his favorite. That, if you think about it, it's almost like a hoverboard for a Metashima, and it's got these little devices which enable you to spawn replicas of the Metashima, but getting the design of that right and making it work within the existing kind of look of the Metashima, that took us longer to crack. It had to be simple enough, but also it had to look and deliver that kind of visual impact that it that we wanted it to. So we started with brainstorming, creative development that went straight into blockouts, models, and then we iterated from there. We had a lot of things like material properties, the finishes on the accessories, whether they're using carbon or whether they're using drips or whether they're using different materials, metallic or rubber, etc. We'd done a lot of the thinking around that as part of the Metashima work originally, so we had that to play with. And then the other thing that was really, really crucial to this, and Dan Pratt, who's our lead programmer, takes a lot of the credit, is that the engine or the factory that we've developed behind the scenes to help auto-generate the different combinations that went into the original Lightning collection. So, we modeled a number of component parts that was fed into the factory, that was fed with logic, which then enabled us to create combinations. We can create 1 billion combinations of what a Metashima might look like using the factory, but it understands what looks good. So it does part of the design process when it's bringing those Metashima together. It does that process for us. And that same system, that same factory has been used to develop the accessory. So all of the product that you see from Metashima or from Obsidian Robotics is generated from the factory. So it's all 3D out of the gate, and they all have the same, I suppose, underlying investment that we've put into the project in the factory. That means we can create endless combinations, which means we can very quickly kind of prototype what goes well together and adjust things on the fly. So that kind of end process using the factory is almost as important as the design process at the very start, because once we can start running tests with the factory, we get an idea of, do the different combinations of the different traits work in the way we want them to, and if they don't, we can make adjustments because of the benefits of the factory quite quickly. So I think that's quite a long-winded way of answering your question, but Ed could also talk until the cows come home about exactly what went into the creative process.
What Simon just said.
Please do. I wouldn't personally complain. I'm pretty sure there are many of us who would who will be very, very keen on staying until small hours, listening to you guys talk about the creative process, about what the factory can do, all the possibilities that it can unlock for Metashima and for the accessories, and for what is to come in the future. Super exciting. Thank you very much for your answers and for this clarification. Now I just let my imagination wander. Thanks.
But I mean, maybe we shouldn't really let your imagination just wander and then just disappear. I mean, we're a community, right? I mean, if how do we tap into all of the ideas that you folks will have, right? I mean, and I think that's going to be super important too. I mean, I can tell you straight away that we don't have all of the answers, right? We absolutely don't have all the answers. And this is what collaboration is. The best bit about collaboration is the best bit about sharing this stuff. I'd love to hear, and hopefully, tonight is kind of giving you a little bit of an idea of what we intend for the functionality of this stuff. But I'd love to hear any thoughts or ideas that you folks have around what we can do with this extra functionality as well. So, yeah, I mean,
I think that's a great idea. That's a great idea, Ed. I totally agree with that. And the accessory pack 1, AP1 is, we've got other kind of accessory packs identified, but in early stages. But actually, what's to say that we couldn't, invite the community in informing what one of the AP drops might actually be, right? What other utilities might Metashima want in the future, what the community might want to do with them, which could inform how we, interpret future accessory pack drops.
Yeah.
One thing I can say for sure is that I have a massive trust in this community, and I know for a fact that they are second to none when it comes to creating different ideas, coming up with Shima Spaces, and inventing whatever it might be that comes to their mind about what the Metashima might do in the future. So now it's out in the air. The team has spoken and requested. So guys,
yeah, bring. I mean, absolutely. Let's make it together.
That's really cool you actually mentioned that too, because it was one of the early visions we discussed back in the day, that we want to roll out our own accessories, but then create this inventory system, so to speak, with community-led, creator-led creations. Like if you look at the pinned tweet, we've got AB with a dripped Shima, and I can't imagine the amount of accessories this guy could produce. Let his imagination run wild. And then we've got so many other creators in our community that would love to have a go at creating AP. So we'll definitely see if we can figure out a way to make that happen. T, should we go through a few more questions? I think we've got Keeps has got his hand up, but I think Ed's been waiting a long time. So let's go Ed, then we'll go back to Keeps, and then we'll swing around to Ahmadijam.
Let's go, Ed.
Evening, everyone. Evening. Can you all hear me? Yes, I'm sure you
Hey,
can.
Ed.
Hey.
Loud and clear.
Good. Right. It's either going to be a very simple question of just a no, or it could go a bit further. But in your vision as the team, had you envisioned Shima's being able to talk, or was it always going to be an R2D2 beep beep beep, or was it going to be more like a C3PO, for example?
No one wants a C3PO, right? Everyone hated him. Am I right? You know, it's like, shut up, C3PO. You know, I don't know.
Well, that's kind of what I love. I want to shout at Jeff. That's the problem. I want to shout and tell him. I want to tell him to shut up.
I think it'll have,
My
Ed, I
secretary-
think it'll have multiple modes of communication. Right.
Oh,
So as part of the customization capabilities, I think, you know, you will have the ability to decide how you want it to communicate. A bit like, you know, you choose your ringtone on your phone, or, you know, do you set it to vibrate and all those kind of things, right? And to notify you and alert you of things. I think, you know, the same can be said of a Metashima. You know, it's got a screen that can be used for non-verbal communications. It's got parts that can animate as part of like its own body language. It could also talk to you, and it could also beep at you. All of those things will be possible. You'll probably have the ability to decide, you know, what you vibe with most.
that is perfect, because the second part to the question was, if and when would we be able to get voice modules for the team members? So you guys, with the invent of AI and things like that, you wouldn't have to say that much anymore. Not like when they recorded old sat navs. You'd probably only have to read 15 words, and we could have it programmed that the Shima sounded like one of you guys. I could, if anybody actually wanted it, and probably not, but they could have it make it sound like Jake.
I think everyone would want that, mate.
Why would you want that?
Yeah,
Well, exactly.
Yeah, no one wants
There's
that.
queues of
Depressing. The
millions.
rest-
Millions want that.
I want to see Ed talking to his Ed version Metashima. Can you imagine the conversation?
Oi. Well, one of the things, going back to the voice for a second, actually, one of the things, and I think I might have mentioned this the last time about the time I was on the space before, was those that remember the original Tron movie. There was a little character in Tron called Bit, and it was his companion when he ended up in the digital world. And all Bit knew how to do in terms of communication was to just say yes or no, be binary. He was a bit of information, a computer bit. So it was either on or off. It was a digital binary on or off. So it was yes or no. And there's a lot of expression. There's a lot of things that can be kind of emoted from just those two very fundamental aspects of communication, you know. And on one hand, I love how simple that is, you know. Imagine Shima, all Shima did was say yes or no to you. Imagine that. That would be quite cool, I think. This, you know, that's one way that, I'm not saying, by the way, this is what I think it should be, but I think it could be still cool if it was as simple as that. And then there's obviously, you know, you can go full send on kind of how complex their personality is. They could have a voice using all of these kind of crazy AI voice synthesizing things that are coming online. And we are absolutely doing a lot of testing on that in the company. It's kind of crazy. Actually, Microsoft have new research where they can synthesize your voice from 3 seconds of a recording of your own voice. It can basically, all you have to do is record 3 seconds of your voice, and it can make a digital version of you that sounds 70% like you from 3 seconds. That's crazy how that works. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know which one I like more. I like the idea of a more kind of simplistic, you know, I don't know. Yes, no, kind of, I don't know. I'd be interested to hear what you folks think too. So, like I said, this is going to be something that we want to make together. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on that.
Well, that my 15 words was a bit of an over exaggeration then, wasn't it? For 3 seconds. Christ.
Yeah, 3 seconds. You know, I don't know how they do. I'll surface out a link to that stuff.
What?
Ed, and there's a link to the research paper, and you can go online and you can hear how they're doing it. They have examples of the input clip, which is once again 3 seconds, and they have examples of the synthesized and inferred AI clip. I'll share that with maybe Tess can share with Tess, or Jay can share that with you, but I'll hook us up with that, and you can have a listen.
There is
It's mad.
well, there is another one too. There's that I was actually using today. It's called 11 Labs, and it labels itself as the most realistic and versatile AI speech software. So apparently, you again do the same thing. You give it a library of speech. I think it's 2 minutes, this one, and they claim it's 90% accurate. And there's one of the guys from the Metaverse and the founder of MV3. He's been using that for a couple of his videos and challenging the community to spot the difference between what's real and what's AI. And hardly anyone could guess it, so it's only a matter of time before it takes off. Anyway, let's move on. We got some extra questions. Ed, have you got any follow-ups, or are you good to go?
I was just going to say on that. I mean, if you're saying there's formats, there must be a file format for speech, font, or whatever you want to call it. So I mean, maybe in the future, way down the line, I appreciate that, but you could have it as an option where you could upload your chosen speech font, as I'm going to call it now.
Absolutely.
And choose it for your own Shima.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be so cool. And then basically with the idea that the Metashima sounds like you, right? Is that what you mean, Ed?
No, I was just going to record you or Stephen Fry, but either way.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I
all
would
right.
have stolen your voice from a small
Yeah.
clip of this.
Although I will
PSP.
say that the Irish accent has been voted the world's sexiest accent for the last 3 years in a row, I think. It's not mine. It's probably Colin Farrell has got a lot to do with that, but work away if that's what you like.
You're getting a lot of love in the Discord, Ed. You always do. So you probably will get chosen for a few.
Wow. I don't know what to say now. I'm blushing.
Anyway, no, I appreciate the answers. It was really
It's a
good.
compliment like no other, eh?
Cool.
Thanks, Ed. Let's go to Keith. Far away, brother.
Awesome. Thank you once again. I didn't think I'd be back up, but I am. So I wanted to ask, like, can we get like a Gundam-esque type, either like accessory where we could just add it on to our Shima to give that Gundam feel to the Shima? I know that Ed is a big fan of Gundam, like I am.
Oh, May, you're preaching now. Hey, Simon, you listening to this? This is what they want. This is what they want. Let's do it.
I think it'd be
Right.
dope. Like we could get the back pod could be taken and put into like the Gundam Wing from like the Gundam Wing series from back in the 90s. We can get something more modern.
Word.
Like
Oh,
Iron
yeah.
Blooded Orpheans from like the most recent Gundam series. Like, it's a lot. We could do a lot with this.
Yes, indeed. I feel a hard collab coming on with Gundam. That's what I'm feeling.
Ed, you collect enough of these to make that happen, right? Get in the Discord, start spamming, and let's see.
Yeah. I just had another one delivered last week. Actually, I got the Master Grade Extreme Freedom Gundam. I pulled the trigger on that. It's still in the box. Need to find time to make it.
Wow. How long
Beautiful
do they
kit.
take to make?
Some of them are quick. I can make one of the real grades in about 2 days, but some of the complex one. I mean, you want to make a good job of them. If you put them, you can put one together in about a day, but you want to
sure.
paint them and make them beautiful.
Sweet.
Let's
get the next question. I'm going to go to Nia.
Great question, though. By the way, I love it. I approve 100%.
Neanderthal, it's over to you. I'm sorry for removing you, bro.
Oh, dude, no worries, man. Thank you for unblocking. I appreciate it. So I'm fairly new to Shima's, truth be told. I might have bought, I don't know, maybe a few days ago. And mags are kind of what made me buy, because I think that's the next aspect of it. And it's quite interesting as a project, because it's the focal point isn't the Shima, I guess, in a sense, it's supposed to be like a side character. At least that's what it seems like. So just curious, like, is Mags is that like the next big thing? I'm really trying to like conceptualize what like how the project's moving, and I've been trying my best to like keep up with it. I know accessories are coming, which is really exciting. I think interoperability is probably one of the next best things that NFTs are gonna start exploring, and we're seeing it a lot with other projects. But yeah, just what was the decision to go like, hey, a little side character? And I appreciate your guys' time. And on a side note, for other packs, I could assume that it'd be safe to assume that having community packs might be a cool idea for accessories. Maybe sometime in the future where community can vote, and then we can add that into the pack. So anyway, thank you for your time.
I appreciate the question so much. Sire Ed, do you want to take a stab at this one?
Good one for Simon, I think.
Yeah, cheers for the question, man. So the AI companion. So I mean, Shima themselves are kind of virtual AI companions, for your avatars in the metaverse. So that's why that has been developed, if you like, or the work we're doing to get to us to that point. So you've got the virtual companion. The MAG is the I suppose the virtual play space, for the Shima. So it's the area where you can customize your Shima, you can upgrade them, you can interact. The training dojo that Nex was asking about earlier, and a really good point of reference on that actually is like Vader Immortal. If anyone's played on the Quest 2 Vader Immortal, you've got the lightsaber training kind of area. Similar thinking initially in terms of some of the mini games that will be designed to interact with the Shima and help train them. But the MAG then provides kind of like a portal into other virtual worlds ultimately, as the metaverse starts to connect, I suppose. But if you look at the story behind Shima, there's a company called Obsidian Robotics, which is, I suppose that's our virtual kind of version of, one of today's high-tech manufacturers. Think of it as like a cross between, SpaceX and Tesla and Stark Industries, for want of other examples. And Obsidian Robotics are working on a number of products. So Metashima is the first product, and it's the kind of central product that connects a lot of things. But Obsidian are working on other products in the space which will help you navigate and traverse the virtual universe that the metaverse becomes. So yeah, the MAG's kind of like the space where all of that kind of comes together to begin with.
Si, can we give him a clue, or am I putting you on the spot there?
About what? Sorry,
the next robotics product.
Yeah, you can give him a clue.
No,
sure.
I mean you can give him a clue.
Oh, I see. Well, so some projects are focused on, if you look at what's happening in the Web3 and NFT space at the moment, right? Some projects are focused on like virtual fashion or, merging worlds with digital fashion and, physical, product forging events and things like that. We always set out the stall for Metashima and Obsidian with a view to, actually our focus as a project is about, enabling utility for the way in which you can get the most out of the metaverse. And that, that doesn't just mean having an AI companion, it also means, how you might be able to traverse different worlds and what gear you might need to enable that to happen. So, as the name suggests, Obsidian Robotics, it's a robotics company. So Metashima is the first robot, and there are the things that around that which will kind of start to develop, and you'll see more of. But I don't want to give too much away. I'm sure I've probably hinted enough anyway, Jake.
That's perfect. Thank you. Let's go. I'm Ideation. Far away.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Obviously, love the conversation around AI, AR, VR. It's all the things I nerd out on. I did want to give the community a preview of what is happening tomorrow in terms of with Metashima and sort of like, because we are talking about hopping into metaverse platforms using 3D assets and those kinds of things. So along with the Vaults team, we developed this vault that actually incorporates Metashima. So you can log into this vault, and there'll be 5 different types of Metashima for the initial phase, just kind of like it's like a beta. But basically, they can unlock 5 different top guards. We just define those as like the most distinctive traits in the collection. And basically, we're starting off with Monoverse, and it's an encrypted link system, which is really cool because, of course, it protects the 3D files. But beyond that, it makes it one click to jump into the Monoverse, which is browser based. And they have some really cool worlds. And the goal behind the vault is the interoperability that someone was just talking about in between collections. So, as Metashima is like one of the intentions is for it to be a companion. We wanted to like actualize that. And so you can basically, it's all token verified. So you sign in, and if it detects a Volts Pilot 1 or a Void and a Metashima in the wallet, it basically unlocks a secret character, kind of like, I guess, inspired by like a Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat or something. Our goal is to obviously get the entire 10K, but for now we have these representative characters. And then really, I think the bigger picture is like, for Metashima holders to be able to start, representing the community, being able to spend time in the metaverse together. Twitter Spaces are great, but what's also cool is hanging out with a bunch of avatars. So it's a new way that communities can interact with each other. We also integrated Cultivate helmets, which I know is close with the Metashima community. So you can unlock a Cultivate helmet. And different also Clone Force is also something that we've incorporated. And our long-term goal is to kind of for you to be able to represent multiple communities by like stacking 2 or 3 or 4 different assets on top of each other. And so we're just starting out with Monoverse for this event, but already the Metashima companions have been tested in Webiverse, Hyperfi, and Monoverse. And the goal is that as we continue to expand the Vault connections and integrations, then those Metashima companions will be available in more and more places. So really what we're trying to do is try to rapidly expand all the places you can use your represent Metashima community and hang out in the metaverse together. And some of these platforms are already VR enabled, where you can jump in via the browser. So that's just kind of the heads up. So if you did want to like learn more about the entire initiative, we have the Metashima team member who will be up on the Twitter Spaces tomorrow discussing it, and then also from every other project that's involved, Clone Force and Cultivate and Volts and everyone else. So should be pretty cool. So we invite you to join, and then on Friday we'll have our first journey together and see the Metashimas come alive in the metaverse.
Thank you so much for sharing, man. You definitely took what I tried to explain and transformed it. I'm super excited to get to speak to you guys tomorrow, and then of course Friday we got our trip. But yeah, thank you for that. Skidley, you got the last question, man. Fire away.
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
Loud and clear.
Fantastic. So hi to everyone up here. It's nice to talk to you. Don't think I've been up in to a space with the founders before, so I appreciate you guys putting on today. It's nice to get an update. My question was surrounding the law. So whether there'd been any sort of more advancements in the law at this stage and how it's going, and also around the endless possibilities of the Shima and how it's ever evolving, how you go about incorporating all of these things into the law as it changes.
I'm going to try and answer that, but I cut out for me. My technical issues are crap. Jake, can you summarize that question for me, and I'll jump in.
Skidley, why don't you fire it again, bro? Let's hear from you again.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So, my question was the law, whether there'd been any more advancements in the law, and also around how the endless possibilities of the Shima, how you go about picking, or if you're implementing everything that a Shima can do into the law, what that kind of process, and how hard is that, I guess, to do with how, I guess, versatile these are.
Okay, thank you for repeating that question. I mean, just taking the law, for example, from the start, right? So one of the things that we've been quite good at is being, I guess, flexible with the way we have been approaching this. We didn't want to get caught up in a rigid story right from the start. The law and the core components at the moment consist of Obsidian Robotics, ADA, Metashima, DNA, Shadow, Lightning, and the story that we're weaving around it, which is, I guess, for want of a better way of putting it, is Dimension's primary business, right? We're storytellers using technology, and we are looking and currently developing a law which will be rolled out in 2023, which we feel is robust enough to be enjoyable by the community and interactive enough for input. And in terms of how we see the product line developing, gives us enough room to be able to introduce product and features which fit seamlessly into the story rather than it being a forced entry point. I think what's really hard about the laws are making them feel grounded in something that's achievable and not just a load of senseless waffle for the sake of it. And I think that's what we're good at as a business. It's what we've been good at in our careers, is kind of putting together stories that make sense, whether it's for clients or for ourselves. And I know you guys probably get fucked off with this, but we're attention to detail focused, right? Nothing goes out the door unless we're 100% committed to what we're doing. And that's the same with the law, right? What we don't want to do is put out a half-baked story that no one feels engaged with or committed with. So I hope that answers your question. I guess what we feel is that we want to just make sure that there's enough room within our law for all the features that we want to introduce, or the products we want to introduce, to have a space in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. That's answered it very well. It's nice to hear, the professional ideas and thoughting behind how you're approaching it, and it's everything's been fantastic. And I imagine it's not easy trying to merge the two together as they both evolve and different ideas come up. So it's unreal to watch it unfold. So thank you again, and I appreciate all the hard work. So
anytime. And if I'm honest, we'd love to. As it unfolds and as we get, pen to paper and things start to become more concrete for us, then we're going to be sharing the progress. I'm sure we're going to be sharing some of our stories. You'll see some of the tests we're doing, using the different AIs that are popping up everywhere that give us, things to test and learn from. So 2023, there's a lot of exciting stuff happening. So keep peeled.
I don't want to be the Debbie Downer and bring this space to an end, but we are over the 2-hour mark, which is just crazy that we've been able to speak for this long, which it kind of makes sense because there's just so much to unpack about Metashima and beyond. But I know, Ed, you need to go feed Milo, his cat.
I do. It's kicking off. It's kicking off right now. Kicking off.
So I feel like we're at a good place to round the spaces, and as always, if there are any questions, please send them into Discord. Jake will flag with us and we will answer them. And we also, if we're still really energized to do it, Jake, we're going to run the Discord event, even though it's going to cut into my beauty sleep, but I'll let it pass. We're going to run the Discord event to do the AP1 reveal giveaway, which means some of you who hopefully on this call will definitely win an AP1. So if you still have energy, please join us in Discord after this. If not, I'm gonna sign off, I guess. This has been so lovely to hear from the team, have the community come up on stage. I feel like it's been really epic. So thank you all so much for attending, and we're gonna make it happen again. Let's do it.
Thank you, Tess. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, gang. Love it. Talk soon.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Peace out.
Bye.